Good day, everyone. This is Pineleaf Needles, and welcome to DDO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in DDO and here at DDO Players. And please welcome my co-host from Ravenloft, Draculetta.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Everything's going fine on this end, though things seem to be quiet on the turbine front.
Just a little small nerve, nothing major.
Yes, well, let's go and begin with Update 28, Patch 1, and we have some release notes.
Yes, indeed. Update 28, Patch 1 is live on the servers. We did talk about this last week in detail, so there's really not much more to point out. Really, we'll kind of go over a few things, though, just in case you are not aware. They did change the way some things work, like the Warlock Eldritch. I can never say that word for some reason.
Eldritch?
Eldritch, thank you. I don't know why. I can say it until I try to say it, and then it just does not. It does not come out right. It sounds right in my head, but it doesn't come out right for some reason. They changed that, some of the spell power scaling. The blast has been lowered from 150% to 130%. The cone remains at 130%. Chain has been lowered from 110% to 95%, and the aura has been lowered from 150 to 130%. And they also fixed a bug where arcane spell failure was not applying to the blast. I didn't do a lot of things with my Warlock, but I did go out in a Slayer area just to see what kind of damage I was doing. And I'll be totally honest with you, I'm only level 9 on my Warlock, but I'm not seeing a huge difference in my Warlock. I'm still like a DPS shooting red ball of flame death machine. Maybe at higher levels you can tell more of a difference, but I am not seeing it at level 9. So,
well, that's because everybody has few enough hit points that you're still one-shotting them, right?
It depends what they are, but yeah, a lot of things are getting one-shotted, so
yeah,
it might just be my level.
Right. So killing them at 100% rather than 120% is still killing them.
It's true. That is very true. They also fixed an issue in combat that could cause animations to, in their words, pop when wielding two weapons. Also, two-weapon fighting now will animate more quickly. And that I did notice a lot because my ranger and also my rogue does two-weapon fighting. And I did notice that the animation on the two-weapon fighting did seem to be a lot more quick to me.
Seeing how I think the first time I ever did anything with two-weapon fighting was after the patch, I wouldn't be able to compare.
And hirelings, when used ranged weapons, which they did add some ranged weapons on the hirelings, I have yet to find any that uses a ranged weapon, but supposedly they're there. They will now switch back to their melee weapon more reliably.
Actually, as far as I know, the ones I'm used to seeing using ranged weapons are very often I see my cleric using a wand.
Really? Okay. I guess
yeah.
I never paid attention to the cleric, what they do whenever I have them run it with me.
And I presume that some wizards might do that also. They might also have wands.
But I did read specifically on the forums, people were talking about, I think it's some of the higher level hirelings are using bows. And I guess one of them, and they're supposed to, when a mob gets close to them, to get within melee range, they're supposed to switch over to a sword automatically. But I guess this one, and I don't remember which one they were specifically talking about on the forums, but the one is still using the bow even at close range. They're not switching. There are bow hirelings now, supposedly. So
okay.
And also hirelings with the two-weapon fighting feat will re-equip the weapons for hand-to-hand combat, which apparently is not happening according to a couple people on the forums. And then basically some item changes. Devil's Handiwork set, which is part of the, of course, last update. The Devil's Gambit, that set now correctly will state that it is granted when wearing 5 items rather than 6 items. And really, that's about it. Like I said, we covered most of this last week.
All right. And the other part of the update is that the new store launched. So now we have a brand new shiny store.
There's some people that are having some problems with, and I noticed it myself too. I bought something and it didn't show up in my pack right away. but when I logged out and logged back in, it was there. And I did read on the forums that they are looking into that to see why that is happening. It's not happening all the time, though, because I tested it just to see if it was something that happened every time you bought something. And I was on a different character, and I bought, I think, a Gold Seal Hireling, and it popped in my folder right away. So,
right.
I don't know if it depends on what you buy or whatever. And then also, I guess there is a problem with international people right now that if they're buying things in the store, they're actually getting charged more than what is stated because they're doing some kind of weird conversion for the currency that's not supposed to be happening. And that I also seen today, Tolero did post on the forums that they are looking into that as well. So the suggestion was if you're international and you want to add turbine points or anything, use PayPal right now. Qui-Gon did some testing. Of course, he's in Scotland, and he used PayPal and was not charged any extra. But then he did something with a credit card and was charged extra. So if you're international, use PayPal right now until they sort that out.
Actually, when you said he wasn't charged extra, you mean over, but because he of course was charged the VAT, which is to be expected.
Exactly, yeah. It is charging VAT correctly, which, like you said, is to be expected. But for some reason, there's like some kind of weird, and to be honest, I didn't understand exactly the whole thing. In the show notes, I'll put that thread in there. Qui-Gon did a pretty decent explanation of what he thinks is going on with it. It's doing some weird currency conversion that it's not supposed to do. And Turbine did say they are looking into it, and they think they see what the problem is, so that should be corrected as well in the store. But other than that, the store is a lot nicer. It runs a lot quicker. I really like how you can just scroll through things.
All right. Now, why? I try to figure out this image you've got associated with the next article on the 2 free +5 hearts of wood.
I guess you don't know the joke. You have never seen the meme with Oprah Winfrey? On her show, she gave away cars. And when she did that, she went, you get a car, and you get a car, and you get a car. You all get a car. So we all get a +5 heart of wood.
All right. And
it's actually a really funny joke, but
okay.
I'm sure all the other DDO players out there are laughing about my Oprah joke. You're the only one that's not.
Oh, well. So therefore, it looks like there's a coupon code?
Yes, there is. Everybody is going to get 2 free +5 hearts of wood. You just need to enter a gibberish coupon code, which I am not going to attempt to even try to make sense of or even read out because it's going to make no sense. The easiest thing to do with all the coupon codes now is either go on our site to get the code and copy it, or go over on the DDO forums and get the code, copy it, and just paste it into the store because it is a pain in the butt to try to read these and type these codes out. And now, Turbine themselves is even saying the best way to do on codes is just to copy and paste them.
Now, I presume that this is a coupon code that you use twice and you get 1 free +2 heart of wood, +5 heart of wood, rather than one that you buy 2 and then put it in.
All you have to do, and because I actually did this to test to see how it worked.
All right.
You put the code in, and it automatically gives you 2 free +5 hearts of wood.
But how does it know which character to put it to?
You do it on whatever character you want them on, but they are account bound, so you can put them in your base.
Oh, okay. They are account bound. It's just that you have to make sure which server you're on when you do it.
Correct. Yes. That's the only thing that you want to make sure you're on the right server. But they are account, and they go in automatically, so all you got to do is when you go into the store, just click apply coupon code, put this code in, hit enter, boom, your hearts of wood are in your inventory, and you're good to go.
All right, then. I'll just have to do this on Canet so that I can have it over there. Right, so let's head on over to the Night Rebels Guide and Loot. So that means someone has already gone through and figured out everything?
And that someone would be Turbine.
Oh, okay. This isn't the one done by the community.
Right,
then.
No. This is what Turbine usually does for updates when they show you the loot that can be in updates and pictures and everything for it. This is just a Turbine supplied, which I'm thinking Cordovan's the one that does these, but don't quote me on that. But I'm pretty sure he's the one that puts this stuff together. You can get some keys for free from the store through October 30th with a code, and you get 4 free long-lasting Night Rebels keys. And when they say lasting keys, that means that when the event is over and all of the materials disappear, the keys that you get from the store, and I quote, the keys that you buy or use your free code to get your 4 free ones from the store will not disappear.
All right, that makes sense because if you go around getting them from the store,
right?
You're saying, I'm sorry about the 50 turbine points you bought to buy all these keys, exactly. But they expired.
Thanks for giving us your money, but this key is no longer good.
Yeah.
So the keys from the store are called lasting Night Rebels keys, and they will persist throughout. So in theory, you could save some of those that if you would buy them from the store, you could save those for next year when the event comes back, one would assume. But there is a code for this, same thing. I'm not going to read it out, just copy and paste it, and you can get 4 of those keys. There was a preview of it on Friday. It is supposed to be launched sometimes this week. I checked on the forums just before showtime, and I didn't see anything where they said it's actually going to start, but it is supposed to be actually live on the servers at some point this week. The little article here just goes through on how the event is going to work, and then they show you some of the loot you can get, like the Hat of the Night Hag, which is actually a pretty cool-looking little witch's hat. I am tempted to maybe try to get one of those because it's just a cool witch's hat. The Hood of the Unrest, the Jack-o'-lantern, because everybody wants to run around with a jack-o'-lantern on their head, and, of course, the head spider, which who doesn't want a little head spider on their head? Oh. But the article over on DDO.com actually lists and pictures all of the loot you can get. I just picked a few of them out to put in the article on DDO Players.
All right, looks like the last 2 articles involved store codes, so what's on sale?
This week we have 20% off select monster manuals, Slayer count boost, creature companions, and accessories, and the companion name changes. But again, I will state what I always state, do not pay for a companion name change, just name it right in the first place. But all those are 20% off. The free sample of the week is a long-lasting Bear's Stamina Potion. You can get 5 of those with the gibberish code. Once again, copy and paste that code.
The days of logical codes are over now.
That's right. There is no logic in the codes whatsoever now.
All right. That's the disadvantage of the new store. No logical store codes.
Yep. We found the disadvantage.
Yes. So let's head into our news beyond DDO. And you can now play the Witch Hunter class in your D&D game. And why would you want to?
Because who wouldn't want to be a witch hunter? It's awesome. If you watch the video of Vin Diesel playing his witch hunter when he played with the Nerdist and Geek and Sundry, you would know how awesome it is to play a witch hunter. So you too can now incorporate the Witch Hunter into your home games. Thanks to Matt Mercer. He is the one that created the class for Vin Diesel. He put together a little 9-page PDF that you can download from Geek and Sundry that list the core stats and also some spells and some other ins and outs of the class. It is a free PDF, and you can get it, as I said, over at Geek and Sundry. And the PDF is fully illustrated. It really looks like it should be something that would come out of a player's handbook or something. It is that well, highly produced. So it's a cool little PDF. I actually got it and printed it out. Thinking about maybe incorporating the Witch Hunter into one of my D&D sessions. I might play him myself and just play along with my players.
Ooh. Does that mean you have to kill yourself also?
That would mean that, yes. I'll be the first to die. I'll take one for the team.
You'll take one for the team. All right.
So head over to Geek and Sundry and check that free 9-page PDF out.
Then let's look at some Sword Coast Adventures. But you're not going to mention any of these spoilers, are you?
Well, maybe.
Well, should I turn my system off?
Well, now, this is not the computer game. This is not Sword Coast Legends.
Okay.
This is the adventure book that is coming out for D&D.
Okay.
It's going to be out in a couple weeks, but some game stores, if they participate in the early release program, you can pick it up in your game store. You just need to call and see if they're participating. So there are some books out in the wild, and over on Reddit, a poster has his book in hand, and he was answering some questions, and he covered some of the races that were in there, some of the new classes, and the new
Ghostwise halfling?
Yes, and some backgrounds. There's nothing. We kind of knew some of this was in here, but some of the new half-elf variants and some of the tiefling variants were some new information. Blade Singing Wizard that we didn't know about either. And there's something that I can't wait to get my copy because I really want to know what the Undying Warlock is all about. That just sounds like awesome, and it sounds like something I would want to be. So I'm really looking forward.
Especially if it were literal.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, actually, if it were literal, you wouldn't want your players to have it.
And he says what he kind of posted about only covered about 50 pages of the 160-page book. He did state that there is a ton, and he put ton in uppercase to really highlight that he said ton of information on the Sword Coast region itself. And he was pretty sure that DMs are just salivating over all of the information. So it kind of sounds, and then in his opinion, he said the book is more for a DM rather than a player, but players would enjoy it too, but DMs are really, really going to enjoy the book. And it does come out on November 3rd everywhere else if your local store doesn't have it in stock yet. And I can't wait to get my copy. I have it pre-ordered, so I should have it hopefully on November 3rd or soon after.
All right. Then, you want to play Sword Coast Legends with Dungeon Master Chris Perkins?
I know somebody that would, and she just so happens to be in the chat. Bonnie, yes, I'm looking at you.
Ah.
There was a very cryptic article. Well, I can't really call it an article. It was more like a blog post put up on dnd.wizards.com today that just says exactly what you said. Do you want to play Sword Coast Legends with Dungeon Master Chris Perkins? And then it said, if you would like to, follow at Wizards D&D, at Chris Perkins D&D, and at Sword Coast on Twitter to keep apprised of the event information that will be forthcoming. Apparently, Chris Perkins is putting together a module for Sword Coast Legends, and he's going to take some players actually through that module. I don't know where magical came from. I don't even know what that is. I just made up a word. So Chris Perkins can be your DM, and Bonnie is freaking out in the chat, as I knew she would.
Aha!
So there you go. So just keep track, and then, of course, we'll also, once we find out some more information, we'll post about it, too. But there's your chance to actually get DM'd by Chris Perkins.
All right, and just make sure you're not in a group that runs the treasure chests at the beginning of the adventure.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Yes, all right. Let's head into our week in DDO, and what have you been up to?
Well, my rogue reached level 20. Booyah! So that is my highest character, and I think 20 is a pretty cool.
Ooh, that means the first to hit I'll call the heroic cap.
Yes. Oh, yeah, and I found out about that the hard way, too. I'll explain that in a second. Yeah, I'm now 20 on my rogue, which is pretty exciting. And all I did is I ran the Devil's Gambit. I got no drops until I usually do Grim and Barrett first, and then I run the other ones, but I thought this time I'll run the other ones, and then I'll run Grim and Barrett last. And I got a drop, but
yay.
Not what I wanted.
Oh.
I got the Docent of Insight, and I'm like, yay, a Docent. Like, I need a Docent. But that was the actual first named drop I got out of Grim and Barrett. I'm slowly inching towards that quiver. I can feel it. Only probably about 100 more times. I'll have to run it until I can get it. But it's so close. And then I did the Web of Chaos question.
You mean you're never getting offered during the rewards for completing the series, or you're not doing the series again?
There's no reward for the series. That was a different series that you...
Oh, that was a different series.
Yep.
Okay.
You're thinking of a different one that we did.
Okay, I think of a different quiver.
Yep. So I did the Web of Chaos quest chain, did that on hard, which of course is the Lords of Dust and Servants of the Overlord. Nothing too exciting about either one of those. But I did find out, because I did the Lords of Dust right after I hit 20. And I just went to the dungeon, started the dungeon, and went in. and I immediately got killed. I mean, like, immediate. Like, the first fight, I was dead in, like, 2 hits. I was just dead, gone. And I'm thinking, what the heck is going on? Because I was a little over level for the quest, even on hard. So I'm like, okay, I shouldn't have died this quick. So I went out, got myself healed back up at the tavern, and went back to the quest thing. And then I noticed that once you hit 20, the other option for heroic opens up, and it defaults to that when you do a dungeon. So I was trying to run the dungeon at level 30. Henceforth, I got killed immediately because I was only 20.
Right.
So, yeah, I didn't realize that would happen. So, yeah. So I have to remember on my rogue now, I need to switch over because, I'm not running anything on 30 at 20. Sorry, not happening. And then my shader guy, still at level 17, ran all the devil's gambits, no drops, yada, 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 rinse, repeat. My ranger, yes, I did say ranger, I didn't say rogue.
Ooh.
This is level 16. I took advantage of one of the +5 Hearts of Wood, and I went through a lesser reincarnation, and I removed my rogue levels.
But you were still partially rogue when we ran this, though.
Yes, actually, when we ran it, I was a ranger rogue. That is true. And then I think it was Sunday afternoon, I think, is when I went ahead and removed that. And actually, the lesser reincarnation was pretty painless, actually. It was pretty easy to do. But I think I might have messed up. Instead of saying, I want to choose my own path, I just kept telling it I stayed on my path. And I didn't get to choose where to put any of my points, like, for like your jump or your listen or anything.
Right,
like
because
that.
you get the default for your path.
Right. So I'm hoping I didn't totally like work my character up by doing that. See, because before I kind of put points where I wanted to put them when I leveled. So I guess I'll see. But I am now just a pure ranger, so we'll see what happens. But I actually had enough points to actually max out my arcane archer tree now, though. That is completely full, so that was exciting because I wasn't full before.
Okay.
So, and I will let you talk about what we did on that character. And then we kind of hinted at it before, but Sword Coast Legends is now out and available on the PC. So I went ahead and installed my copy, because before I just had the Head Start installed. If you did play in any of the Head Starts, it is a separate install. So you do have to reinstall it. Just keep that in mind. And I started to go through the story mode, which I'm enjoying a lot. I like the writing. I like the story. I'm not going to spoil it at all. We'll just leave that at that. And I decided, well, you know what? I'm just going to hop into one pug dungeon, and we'll just see how it goes, see if it's any better than the Head Starts were. And the answer is no, it's not. As soon as we entered the dungeon, the people I was with immediately was running around, smashing all the breakables, opening all the boxes, and opening all the chests to get the stuff, because looting is still first come, first serve. And then they came back and started actually doing the dungeon and killing the monsters. Multiplayer with just a pug is a no-go. I'm never doing multiplayer again without people that I know of. Multiplayer will be fun with friends, because you'll actually do what you do in D&D pen and paper, and you will like trade the loot. And if you get something that one of your party members need, you will pass it to them like most people normally would do. No, pugs not so much. They just run around, get all, and then one person in that group actually, after he looted all the chest, he actually dropped party. He didn't even do the rest of the dungeon.
He dropped party.
Like, that's awesome.
You go in, take all the loot, don't kill the monsters, which is the entire point of being in the dungeon.
Apparently, the entire point of being on the dungeon is to ninja loot and leave. So yeah.
That is okay. That goes down as one of the worst designs in history.
I'm really hoping that was just a really, really bad party, but
yeah, but any dungeon that allows you to do that,
and
stupid.
I've heard a couple, reviews. I've been kind of purposely avoiding reviews because I didn't want to get any spoilers for the story. So I haven't read a lot of reviews, but that's the major complaint I'm seeing on reviews, is the looting system sucks, and it does. It's just horrible. The game itself is fun. Love the game. Love the story. If you loved like the Baldur's Gate series, Neverwinter, you'll like the single player. It reminded me so much of Baldur's Gate. I had flashbacks of running through Baldur's Gate when I was doing the single player, because you control your whole party and it's set up like that. So single player is great, love it, so much fun. Multiplayer, not so much. And I still haven't messed around too much with the Dungeon Master tools yet. I do kind of want to create an adventure just to see that, but that's going to take forever because it's pretty in depth. So I don't want to just start that and just like make something real quick. I actually want to get in depth into it and see exactly how the Dungeon Master mode works. But can't recommend the multiplayer for it, but single player, I'm not too far into it, but so far I like it, and I didn't see the twist coming. That's all I'll say. There's a twist that's pretty early on in the story that I was like, whoa, didn't see that one coming. Good writing, so kudos for them. And then the only other thing I did is still working on my Dungeons & Dragons adventure that I'm going to run at some point. Not sure when we're all going to get together, but I'm just getting ready for that. And I'm kind of rethinking my plan now. You know how last week I said I was going to do a surprise module for them that they didn't know about?
Right.
But today I was reading one of my friends linked me a list. I don't even remember who it was now. That did like the top 30 modules of all time. And I was reading through there, and one of the names on there caught my attention, and I kind of read it. And I'm thinking, this might actually be better than the other one I was going to do. The reason why I say that is because I think this other one that I'm now thinking about converting and running to 5e would give them a little more enjoyment, and I think they would grow in their characters a little more, and it's more combat focused rather than trap focused, which the other one I was going to take them through was more trap focused, which, let's face it, that's all the tomb is traps. So I kind of want to give them at least a fighting chance to survive to even make it to the tomb.
Yeah.
So I might rethink my strategy here and do another one. I'm still not going to mention what it is because, as I said last week, a couple of them do listen to the podcast, so I do want it to be a surprise. But pretty sure I'm going to end up doing this other one now. But it should be fun, and hopefully we'll have our first session of this pretty soon. I just got to figure out how, if I do this other one, how I'm going to tie it into the tomb, because it's not going to be as easy to tie in as what the first one I was going to do was. But I'll figure it out and make it all one cohesive story and tie the two together. And I think they'll have fun with it until they get to the tomb. And then God help them all. And I'll let you talk about what we did. And other than that, that's all I did. So what did we do and what did you do, Pilot?
All right. On my level 16 Artificer with Drac, we finished up the Harbinger of Madness in the flesh. And in that particular quest, at the end of it, for my final reward, I received a rather interesting quiver. As a quiver that has a really large capacity, and apparently it auto regenerates every once in a while. Ammunition pops up out of nowhere in there that looks more like what I've seen so far have been arrow type ones. I don't know if it ever auto spontaneously generates bolts or if it's only arrows to it. If that's the case, then it's probably more useful to a ranger than to a artificer.
I think it does both. I think it will do arrows or bolts, but don't quote me on that because I actually don't have one of them.
Yeah.
Because every time I ran it, I never had that option to get one as my end reward.
Right.
Go figure. Stupid RNG.
And then we did a couple of quests in the harbor, the Lords of Dust and Servants of the Overlord. And at the end of Servants of Overlord, I reached 700 favor. So that's a major milestone.
Yay for 700 favor.
Yeah. And then I went to my Sorcerer to finish up my round with the Sorcerer. Since I was, if you remember last time, I was getting ready to go into the Steam Tunnels for level 4. So essentially what I did were the steam tunnels. So I started with the Sacred Helm. And when I did the Sacred Helm, I reached level 5. And when I was looking at the options on when I leveled, went to the trainer afterwards, and that's when I was reminded that you're able to, every 3 levels, you're allowed to switch a spell on the Sorcerer. Oh, 3 days, I mean. So once every 3 days, you could swap in a spell on the Sorcerer. And that means that back when I was doing the Bookbinder Rescue and I was bemoaning the fact that I didn't have a knock spell, I could have done a swap. So that's something for me to remember in the future if I ever play a sorcerer again.
And to go back to the quiver, Bard's Rock is saying arrows only from that quiver. But he said Artie's conjured bolts by the 1000s anyway. And then,
yeah, there is that.
And then Orion 0825 says the great part of that quiver is that you can equip it at level 1. And then Bard's Rock did say the arrows are between level 4 to 6, though. So yes, I guess that quiver is arrows only.
All right, so much for that. All right, and now the other thing is that when I also reached level 5, was ready to go in for the second set of ones when I was at level 5, I decided to swap my helmet to be the fireproof helm. Now, I didn't think it was going to be the most effective helm for me to wear for the next dungeon I was going into, but I wanted to be sure that I did not forget to put that helmet on when I went into the halls of Chanticleer, because I know how nasty that is with fire. So this was a plus 15 resist fireproof helm.
So you're saying you couldn't resist it, Pineleaf? See what I did there? See?
Yes. So therefore, after that, I did the blockade, Caverns of Shock, and then, of course, the halls of Chanticleer. And yes, that fireproof helmet did come in quite handy for that section in there.
And did you pay attention to the Guardian this time? Because last week we were talking about the screenshot of the week on the Chronicle, and you said you didn't remember the Guardian looking like that in Chanticleer.
Ooh, I don't think I paid any special attention to it in order
So the answer...
I was so busy fighting, I forgot to get an idea of what it looked like.
Okay.
Oh, well. But having finished that means I had reached level 5 and finished Chanticleer and finished the Sharn Syndicate, which are my 3 main requisites in order to declare myself done. So that finished up my time with the Sorcerer with a success. So my Sorcerer did better than my Wizard. Therefore, it was time for me to create my Ranger. So I created level 1 Ranger, went into Korthos Village, ran the usual Korthos Village quests from the grotto all the way up to the Collaborator, and then I went on to Korthos Island at level 2 and ran Necromancer's Doom.
I realize you're only level 2 so far, but how do you like the Ranger? I know it's really too early to stay.
Yeah, it's the tricky bit is getting used to the pace of arrows, because I'm used to shooting out repeating crossbows.
Yeah, that would be a big difference.
Right. I believe when you get to level 2, you get a rapid shot feat, so you start shooting a little bit faster, which came in handy.
Oh, love rapid shot. Oh, yes.
Yeah, so therefore I'm starting to shoot a little bit faster there. One of the tricks thing is being able to switch, because now I have range and I'm more likely now to want to switch into melee. And that was when I was got a little bit of testing on 2-weapon fighting, since when I hit level 2, of course, you also get 2-weapon fighting as a ranger. So I tried both of those things out a little bit. I'm emphasizing ranged, but when I get close and personal, or if I'm going into an area where I'm expecting to be ambushed, then I will switch to my melee weapons, which is something I never do on the Artificer.
No, because usually when you play the Artificer, we're playing together and things are dead long before they get to us.
Well, there is that. But even when I was soloing on the Artificer, that was the same way. So we'll see how that goes, and maybe next week I could get to finish up Korthos and see how I'm liking it after I get through the infamous Misery's Peak.
And I still say good on you for going through Korthos every time you make a character. I applaud you. I applaud your dedication for running Korthos that many times.
I take it that you wouldn't do that?
Oh, God, no, I never do. As soon as I create a character, it's like, I either want to start at level 4 or level 7. Which do I want to start this character at? Let's go with 4 this time. And hey, look, I'm in the marketplace. Imagine how that works.
Well, the next time I create a veteran character, it's most likely going to be the infamous case where I'm going to go back to Korthos anyway, because it'll be for the incompetency challenge, where you're supposed to be reasonably well equipped, but have a build that's so bad that you die in Misery's Peak.
And Bonnie Bew in the chat even says, and you even do the grotto.
Yeah, I even do the grotto. Yes. Yes, I know some people were saying that. What is the most likely one that you will skip when you play DDO? And I remember during that little debate panel where I was on a couple of months back, and that one of the players said, the grotto!
Speaking of the grotto, I don't know why I didn't remember this earlier. When you had me laughing so hard Wednesday when we were playing, as we were doing the Lords of Dust chain, you said something, and I just started laughing because I thought it was so funny. And you probably can't even remember what you said now.
Let's see. I think it might have been something to do with Salinas, but
Yes. You said, now you understand.
oh yes, Salim. Oh yes, now I remember why it says, "Who in Kyber are you?" That's right, because I had never understood that line because I'm not familiar with the various worlds.
You're just like, now I know why Selima says, "Who in Kyber are you?"
Yes.
It's like, welcome to Kyber, also known as Hell, by the way.
Yes. It made a lot more sense. Because I guess I was used to some places, because sometimes they will say it that way, and some people will say, who in the world are you, are other ways of doing it. So I thought it was more of an equivalent to who in the world are you rather than who in the underworld are you.
Yeah, basically, yeah, because if you are not familiar with, the lore of D&D, Kyber is the underworld.
All right, then.
See, so now it clicked for Pine. It was just so funny because it was just like a random, because we're just running, doing the quest and just killing stuff, and all of a sudden Pine Leaf just rattles off, "Hey, now I know why she says that."
Yes, I know.
I'm like, what are you
See, and if I hadn't done Grotto all those times, I might not have noticed it or remembered it.
That's right, because she repeats it to you every time you do the grotto.
Yes. If you'd like to help support DDO Players, simply go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. There you'll find rewards including a mention on DDO Players News or even be a guest host with us. This week, we don't have any emails, but if you would like to send us one, you can send it to podcast@ddoplayers.com. You can also follow us at Twitter, the Players Alliance, @Players Ally, DDO Players, @DDO Players, Draculetta, @Draculetta_72, and Pineleaf, @Pineleaf Needles. The Players Alliance has 2 weekly live shows every week. Mondays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have DDO Players News. And on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Lotra Players News. We also have 2 bi-weekly shows. Every other Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern, we have XP Quest. And every other Saturday after Lotra Players News, we have Tales of the Free Folk. You can join us for our live shows by going to ddoplayers.com/live. And this is Pineleaf Needles reminding you to quest responsibly.